This is your host Yvon, visiting with Lieutenant Commander George Ashton, known in Tahiti as Choti. Hi Choti.
Good evening, Yvon. Your Honor.
Your Honor, how are you today, sir?
Very well, thank you. Nice to see you.
What got you interested in Tahiti, George?
Well, for a long, long time, every yachtsman has the dream of someday going to paradise, Tahiti. And the opportunity presented itself when I learned that Vega, that beautiful schooner, needed a navigator. And her college boy crew decided to go to the pool secretary for the Transpac racing yachts and ask them was there one available. So fortunately my name was mentioned. I went down to the ship. I was introduced to Mr. Crane's right-hand man. By the way, Mr. Crane was the plumbing millionaire Crane, Cornelius Crane of Chicago. He had bought Vega because there were no means in those days, 1951, of getting down to Tahiti, no regular public transportation. The planes weren't flying, as you know, Yvon, in those days. So he needed a beautiful yacht to go back to Tahiti to visit his sweetheart, Miri, whom you know very well, having lived across the street from her. So this beautiful yacht came on the market from Hamilton, of Hamilton Propeller people. Young Tommy Hamilton was going to deliver her to Honolulu, where she picked up the Tahitian crew that came up in the New Golden Hind, owned by another mutual friend. So I thought, well, this will be a marvelous holiday. It was unpaid, of course. So we sailed, I think towards the end of June 1951, and made a fairly slow passage, but we had a lot of fun. And arrived in Honolulu, I think July, no, we wanted to get to Papeete naturally for the 14th of July.
The Bastille Day celebration.
Bastille Day celebration. So now this is 30 years ago, so I'm a little bit hazy about the actual dates of arriving in Honolulu and leaving. But we took with us Nancy Hall, James Norman Hall's daughter, Conrad Hall, the cinematographer's brother, and her husband and two little boys. They wanted to go to see their mother in Tahiti. Their father had just died, unfortunately. The author of Mutiny on the Bounty, Men Against the Sea, the trilogy. So it was an interesting voyage. I'm getting ahead of my story. I was supposed to return to the States with the American crew, but Cornelius Crane asked me to continue. I thought I was redundant because the new crew, the Tahitians, were, as you know, your compatriots are marvelous sailors and born to the sea. I said I didn't think I was needed, but he said, well, I'll put you on the payroll and you can come back in 6 or 7 weeks. It was 11 months before I got back because if you remember, Vega was dismasted. Then I became involved in working on a motion picture and so forth. So I learned to love your people in Tahiti for 11 months.
What went through your mind when you sailed the South Seas in those days where my ancestors didn't have any compass to travel with?
I've studied that, Yvon, to discover how the Polynesians did navigate. And it's a very highly complicated system they had.
Tell us about it.
They made their charts of twigs and fish lines and all the amazing things that you could think of. They represented ocean currents. They represented the wave formation. They knew that when they went in the lee of an island, the seas changed. They studied the birds, which came from where they were going, at what time in the year. They studied the stars. They knew that if they sailed keeping that star at a certain height, they would eventually come to their destination. They were remarkable navigators. You know, today there always seems to be some kind of a mystery about navigation. But if I can navigate, I'm sure anybody can. And I have tried to debunk the mystery of navigation. I have a sextant which cost $15. It's plastic. Whereas in, you know, when the days I took Vega to Tahiti, I had a $400 or $500 one made by Plath, I think it was, in Germany. And the reason there was so much mystery surrounding navigation was that the officers didn't want seamen to be initiated into the mystery, as they called it, of navigation. Because if they had that knowledge, mutiny was more easily accomplished. Here they were dependent on officers to get them to another destination. So it was always kept to be a mysterious thing. But it isn't a mystery at all. Anybody can navigate today. Oh, another thing about navigation in the South Pacific. The volcanic islands, like Tahiti, wear on their crown, the diadem, a cloud. The trade winds bring the moist air across the ocean, and then when they're confronted with that mountain, Arafena, what is the height, 7,000 feet? That damp, moist air is sent upwards, and there it condenses. But it's also dissipating on the lee side, but always building on the weather side and dissipating on the lee side. So when I'm 70 miles away from Tahiti, and I'm not sure of my exact position to a few miles, I see the cloud, and there I know. And there I know, underneath that cloud is Mount Arafena, and there, a little bit to the west, is Papeete, so I know I'm on course. So that was another feature of navigation in the old days. The mountainous islands, like the Marquesas, it was of course impossible in the Tuamotus, the dangerous archipelago where they're just flat atolls, no clouds, and very, very dangerous currents. But again, the Polynesians were masters in these open canoes. That's the fascinating part about it. They could make long, long voyages in open canoes. What about the provisions? Well, they probably took along coconuts and all bananas, and green bananas to start with. And no doubt they had little piglets with which they could butcher, chickens.
And the breadfruit.
And the breadfruit.
That could last for months and months.
Breadfruit would last for months and months. Hence, Mutiny on the Bounty. That's what...
Exact.
Captain Bligh was going.
Exact.
Breadfruit. Yes. And we can learn a great deal from their methods of navigation. As a matter of fact, they knew more about the ocean and its behavior than we do today, because it's simple for us to pull out a sextant and to look at the chronometer, or not even we don't even need a chronometer. We have a little radio that gets a time signal from Colorado, and we shoot the sun with our sextant, and it's all worked out for us in the book. Or even today they have calculators. All you do is press buttons, put in your sextant reading, the time of day, and add your telephone number and press a button, and out comes your latitude and longitude. You know? So today navigators aren't as skillful as the ancient Polynesians, in my opinion. Another interesting character in those days, Yvon, was Leeteg.
Oh yes.
Who did those beautiful black velvet pictures.
Tell us about Leeteg.
Oh, yeah. Now Leeteg lived on Moorea, and with his elderly mother. And he developed this magnificent technique for producing those beautiful skin tones on black velvet. And he had an agent in Honolulu. Of course, when he died, the price went up to thousands of dollars overnight. But when I knew him, he loved to come over to Papeete and have a little binge. And unfortunately, he fell off the back of a motorcycle under those conditions and died. But he took me to his home and showed me his technique and how he could reproduce to a catalogue exactly what was required in the way of a painting. And I hope this doesn't disillusion art lovers, but he showed me that he projected a slide onto the black velvet canvas, as it were, and that was how he reproduced them exactly each time. He had an interesting background. He was a poster artist in LA, working for one of the outdoor advertising people. But in Tahiti, he came across this marvelous idea of producing these beautiful girls and with those marvelous flesh tones on black velvet, and they were very much sought after.
It was a great talent.
Great talent. Interesting person.
Thank you, George. Thank you very much. Maruru.
Maru Abau.
Yorana.
Yora.